This page is the front cover of 64 magazine, issue 38. The main feature is a world-exclusive first look at Daikatana, the much-anticipated first-person shooter from John Romero. Ridge Racer 64 is also highlighted, with a feature on page 50 showcasing the popular arcade racing series coming to the console. Other notable games featured are Tony Hawk Skateboarding, a landmark title for the extreme sports genre, and Hydro Thunder, bringing high-speed boat racing action. The cover also teases coverage of Resident Evil 0, which was planned for N64 but ultimately released elsewhere, Turok 3, Tarzan, Track and Field, and a solution for Toy Story 2. It proudly declares the magazine as Britain's best N64 magazine. This page is a colourful advert for Earthworm Jim 3D, the third game in the popular series, urging you to whip him out and impress your mates. This was Jim's move into the 3D world on the N64. This page is the contents, highlighting what's inside the magazine. You've got a look at games like Daikatana, Ridge Racer 64, Hydro Thunder, Tony Hawk Skateboarding, International Track and Field 2000, Toy Story 2, and Tarzan, plus a trip to the arcade show. This page features the magazine's showcase section, starting with the editorial from the returning deputy editor, Roy Kimber, who's optimistic about the N64's future with Project Dolphin looming and great games like Daikatana, Ridge Racer 64, Tony Hawk Skateboarding, and Toy Story 2 on the way. There's news that Perfect Dark has slipped again, now potentially beyond June, with the face mapping feature dropped for moral reasons, and a rumor of a rare dinosaur game. The screenshot shows a character who looks like Joanna Dark. Pokémon gets a couple of mentions, one about a South Park episode called Chin Pokémon, and another reporting the Mexican church blames it for bad behavior. There's a screenshot from the South Park cartoon. Ogre Battles Us release is delayed until August due to translation issues, and the UK status is unknown, shown with a tactical battle screenshot. Ubisoft are making a game based on Pamela Anderson's VIP show. Plus, there's an update on the next console, the Nintendo Dolphin, mentioning chip production, patented motion sensors, and dev kits going out, pictured with the Dolphin Update logo and a prototype console. The page also promotes other Paragon magazines covering DVD, Game Boy Color titles like Toy Story 2 and Tomb Raider, and a solutions guide. This page features the regular Game Watch section, which lists upcoming Nintendo 64 games along with their expected release dates and regions, highlighted for UK releases. There's a competition offering readers the chance to win one of 10 copies of Battletanks Global Assault, described as a fantastic game with improved graphics and multiplayer. Entrants need to answer a question about the number of tanks in the game. Down below you can see screenshots from expected games like Battlezone 64, Tarzan, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, Winback, Banjo-Tooie, and Daikatana. The magazine also includes its top 10 64 game charts, and a competition to predict the next month's rankings to win a prize. This letters section addresses N64 player concerns. Readers question the lack of Final Fantasy games due to Sony exclusivity, and debate the console's difficulty and PlayStation's popularity. The magazine defends the N64's quality, highlighting games like Mario 64 and GoldenEye, while acknowledging the desire for more mature titles. Other letters discuss the console's success, the game industry, and the future Xbox. One reader seeks game industry advice, while another asks about obtaining the Pokémon magazine. Finally, news of the Xbox's development is shared, promising high-end graphics and competition. The Win section announces a prize bundle of N64 peripherals. This page previews International Track and Field 2000, the return of the classic arcade button-mashing sports game. It promises the same frantic action that caused blistered fingers, bringing back events like hurdles, swimming, shot put, pole vault, and javelin, all controlled with just 3 buttons. The game features athletes from 12 countries competing across these events. Importantly, the addictive 2-player mode is included. The graphics have been updated for the N64, giving the game a modern 3D look with high-resolution visuals and motion-captured animation. Screenshots show various events like swimming races, sprints, and field events. The article also points out the instant replay feature, highlighting the blur effects on runners. Published by Konami, the game was slated for a UK release in April. There's also a section listing other upcoming games covered in this issue. This page features a look at Resident Evil 0. It's billed as an exclusive N64 prequel that delves into the origins of the Umbrella Corporation and the events leading up to the original game. You play as Rebecca Chambers, who you might remember saving in the first Resident Evil. A good chunk of the game takes place on a train. Capcom promised it would be the toughest one yet, even removing the classic item box system. Expect the usual tricky puzzles, plus new monsters alongside the trademark zombies. There are several screenshots showing characters, interiors, and Rebecca in action against the undead. Although previewed here for the N64, Resident Evil 0 actually ended up being released later on the GameCube. This page gives us a good look at Aiden Chronicles, the first Mage, which was a highly anticipated RPG for the N64, a genre that wasn't exactly overflowing on the system. The game puts you in the shoes of Alaron, a young knight on a quest to uncover his origins. A neat part of the game is being able to build your party by choosing 3 companions from a roster of 10 distinct characters, each bringing their own skills and backstories to the adventure. You've got folks like the skilled swordsman Abrakan and the healer Reader to choose from. Combat is turn-based, giving you full control over your party members' actions and positioning. Magic plays a big role too, with over 50 spells available. The screenshots show the game exploring varied environments, from bustling towns and open fields, to snowy landscapes and forests, and encountering different creatures. Published by THQ, and developed by H20 Entertainment, the UK release was still listed as TBC here. But the game did indeed make its way to the N64 eventually, bringing some much-needed high fantasy to the console. This page features a look at the N64 game Tarzan, based on the popular Disney film. It's primarily a side-scrolling platformer, though it makes interesting use of the 3D environment, allowing Tarzan to move in and out of the screen at times. The game follows the story of the film, starting with you playing as young Tarzan learning to survive in the jungle, then later controlling the adult, more capable Tarzan. Key actions include swinging on vines, tree surfing down branches, and pounding the ground for bonuses. The game was developed by Euro.com and published by Activision, with a UK release date listed here as the 21st of April. The graphics are highlighted as being absolutely outstanding, described as gorgeous and lavishly detailed, which was quite a feat on the N64. The sound, including speech, also gets a mention for being surprisingly good. There are a couple of neat extra features mentioned. Minigame Madness involves collecting hidden sketches throughout the levels, which unlocks bonus stages filled with collectibles. There's also a Gorillagram system, where finding special icons allows Tarzan's friend Turk to pop up and offer helpful advice. Overall, it sounds like a solid platforming adventure that really captured the look and feel of the movie. This page looks at Turok 3, The Shadow of Oblivion, where our hero, Turok, is back to save the universe once more. The story picks up after the events of Turok 2, with the destruction of the Primogen's lightship inadvertently causing issues with a cosmic entity known as Oblivion. This game promises a fair bit, featuring 20 levels set in varied locations, from underwater bases to futuristic cities. You can play as the returning dinosaur hunter, Turok, or a new character, Danielle Fireseed. Expect to face over 40 different enemies, and utilize 24 upgradable weapons. A neat feature mentioned is the inclusion of a point-of-saving system during gameplay. For multiplayer fans, there are 48 unique maps and new game modes, including color tag. The screenshots show off some of the enemies you'll encounter, like a big, toothy creature, and a robotic design, plus what looks like a futuristic SWAT team. The game was developed and published by Acclaim, and was slated for a September release. This page takes a look at NBA in the Zone 2000, the latest installment in the series. It brings updated stats and players, along with improved graphics and animations. A key new feature is the Creator-Player mode, which goes beyond just looks, allowing for stat development in a success mode. Tactical plays are also introduced, letting you set strategies before the game and trigger them with button presses during play. The game offers simpler 2-button controls for those who prefer it. Konami handled the publishing, and it was set for a March release. The screenshots show the on-court action and the menu for tactical selections. This page covers the ATEI Arcade Show 2000, a trade show held in London where arcade manufacturers showcase their new games to potential buyers. The magazine team managed to get in and try out the latest coin-op machines, focusing on the ones they found most fun. Midway's Rush 2049 is a major highlight, described as a cracker of a driving game. It's the sequel to San Francisco Rush and Rush 2, both of which had excellent N64 conversions. Rush 2049 brings improved graphics and speed, retaining the signature crazy jumps and shortcuts of the series. It offers multiple cars and a password system, and they correctly predicted an N64 port was on the way, which turned out to be a top conversion. Another featured game is Midway's Off-Road Thunder, a large and loud off-road trucking game. It stood out with its responsive controls and San Francisco Rush-style jumps, proving to be a solid and enjoyable racer in the arcade. This one also made its way to the N64, bringing the off-road action home. Other games glimpsed at the show included Konami's light gun game Fatal Judgment, Silent Scope 2, and the popular Time Crisis 2. It looks like there was a wide variety of machines on display for arcade operators. This page continues the coverage of the ATEI Arcade Show 2000. A major draw was Crisis Zone, a cracking light gun game that follows on from the Time Crisis series. This one amps up the action with a machine gun and destructible scenery, keeping players hooked with its fast pace and great graphics. Loads of cabinets were set up, showing just how popular it was. The declared game of the show was Aerosmith, Quest for Fame. This brilliant music game lets you play along to Aerosmith tracks using guitar and drum controllers, progressing through a story from bedroom practice to playing live on stage. It totally grabbed the team's attention, especially Roy, who was apparently a dab hand at the virtual guitar. Also featured is Rolling Extreme, a strange but fun street luge racing game, with unusual control chairs that provided a unique experience. And there's World Kicks, a football game that goes the extra mile, with a physical ball you interact with. Beyond the main arcade games, there was a section covering the fun and games at the fair happening nearby, including novelty attractions like water pistol games, climbing challenges, and even something called parabouncing. Other arcade games like Sega Marine Fishing and Virtua Tennis were also on display. This page features a preview of Ubisoft's upcoming motorsport game, F1 Racing Championship. It delves into the development behind the game, which is a sequel building on the Monaco Grand Prix engine. The article highlights several key features, including an official license with genuine drivers and cars from the 1999 F1 season, promising ultra-realistic car behavior. There's mention of an all-new driving school mode and an arcade checkpoint mode for different playstyles. Visual improvements are noted, with new 3D pit crew animations and redesigned menus. There's also a brief interview with Mathieu Ferland, a department manager at Ubisoft, who discusses the team size, 25 people working in Morocco and Canada, and the goal to create a game for F1 fans. He mentions the evolution from the previous engine, and highlights the major differences, focusing on new 3D graphical effects, particularly how cars react realistically to contact, and the calculation of 11 physical forces for a unique sim feel. Warrington Nook. Several screenshots illustrate the game's graphics and different camera perspectives offered, including behind the car, cockpit interior, and on-the-nose views. Another screenshot shows two players racing split-screen, confirming multiplayer support. The preview gives the impression that Ubisoft is aiming for a significant step up in F1 simulation on the N64 with this title. This page continues the F1 Racing Championship preview, giving more detail on the simulation aspects. The AI drivers are based on real F1 stars like Schumacher and Hill, driving according to their actual skills and aggression. They've layered on extra graphical flair with lighting, weather, and heat effects on certain tracks. Plus, they've sampled authentic F1 car sounds. The pit stop sequence is a clever minigame, where your input speeds things up. Technical details mention the cars were built using 3D modeling for accuracy, shown in some screenshots alongside the racing and pit lane action. The right side of the page features adverts for game sales and competitions, listing titles primarily for other consoles. This page features a competition page offering readers the chance to win a fantastic Game Boy Color bundle. Prizes include the console itself, along with the game's Bubble Bobble Classic, Top Gear Rally 2, and Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 4. There are brief descriptions and screenshots for each of these Game Boy Color titles, showcasing their gameplay. The bundle also includes a Mad Catz Game Boy accessory pack, with a link cable. This list highlights top Game Boy Color games, drawing from scores in Total Game Boy Color magazine. Mario Golf, a sports simulation, tops the list with a 97% score, praised for bringing the N64 version's quality to the handheld. Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, a souped-up NES remake, earned a 95% for its faithful recreation and added content. Conker's Pocket Tales, a 92% adventure/RRAG hybrid, tied to Conker's Bad Fur Day, features puzzle solving and exploration. Finally, Duke Nukem, a 2D platformer, received a 90% for its alien blasting action and Duke's signature attitude. This page continues the look at the top Game Boy Color games. First up is Revelations, the Demon Slayer, a proper polished RPG for the GBC. It's all about exploring, talking to folks, and tackling over 100 different monsters with a load of weapons and spells. It scored a very respectable 91%. The screenshots show the classic top-down exploration and the turn-based combat system. Next is Tarzan, bringing the Disney film to the handheld. It's a solid platform adventure, developed by Activision and Disney Interactive. Features the main game with multiple characters and levels, plus a hide-and-seek mode. It's certainly impressed, earning a 92%. You can see screenshots of Tarzan swinging through the jungle and facing off against a panther. We also get a look at Space Station, Silicon Valley, which was a great N64 game making its way to the GBC. The core idea is controlling different animals, each with unique skills, to solve puzzles. Looks like they've captured the spirit of the N64 version. Screenshots show gameplay and the animal statistics screen. Key. Finally, there's IK 2000, an incarnation of the classic fighting game IK+. It keeps the simple, one-hit point formula of the original, but offers surprising depth. Scored highly too, bagging a 92%. The screenshots show various fighters in iconic locations, like the Sydney Opera House and the Great Wall. This page continues the look at the top Game Boy Color games. Rayman is featured, described as a classic even though it's less than a decade old, originating on Saturn and PlayStation. The GBC version is praised for faithfully recreating the vibrant graphics and compelling gameplay of the original psychedelic adventure. It includes a full story, hidden bonuses and 6 languages, scoring 92%. Next up is Mickey's Racing Adventure, starring Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, and Pluto. This rare developed title combines racing with RPG elements and puzzles across 21 tracks. It offers considerable depth with bonuses, an email function, and even Game Boy printer support, earning an impressive 98%. The page also includes a large advert for 64 Solutions number 15, offering 132 pages of tips and cheats for games like Resident Evil 2, Turok Rage Wars, Ready 2 Rumble Boxing, and Donkey Kong 64 for £4.99. This page kicks off the review section, leading with the highly anticipated Daikatana, featured with its main character and screenshots, though anyone who knows the N64 understands this version never actually saw the light of day. The page sets the scene for upcoming reviews, also highlighting Ridge Racer 64, Hydro Thunder, Tony Hawk Skateboarding, and the PAL UK update for Winback. It provides a comprehensive breakdown of how the magazine reviews games, explaining the meaning behind the various info boxes, the Mario block rating system, and the final score scale used to judge each game. This page dives straight into a review of Daikatana, a game that promised a lot back then. It features a large image of one of the game's characters alongside the imposing Daikatana logo. You can see several screenshots showing the first-person perspective and some of the environments, including what looks like ancient Japan and some futuristic or industrial settings. The review talks about the plot involving time travel, a powerful sword, and the villain Mishima. It describes the gameplay as a first-person shooter, where you play as Hero and are joined by AI companions, Mikiko and Superfly, though you don't have direct control over them. It mentions the game comprises 16 levels grouped into 4 episodes, jumping across different time periods. The page also has a section highlighting key points under the £64,000 question, listing some of the game's features and aspects they liked or didn't like as much, and another showing examples of the game's puzzles. As anyone who followed the N64 scene knows, despite this review and the hype, Daikatana ultimately never saw a release on the Nintendo 64 console. This page continues the review of Daikatana, going into more depth on the gameplay mechanics. It details the swords and sorcery aspect, likening the combat to a mix of Quake 2 and Hybrid Heaven, and highlighting the large arsenal of 22 different weapons. It explains that success isn't just about being quick on the trigger, as you encounter many unarmed NPCs you might need to interact with, rather than just shoot, sometimes having to terminate them to get what you need. The review notes, the level environments offer good variety, from medieval to futuristic settings. There's a section titled What No Key, which gives an example of how the game encourages finding solutions through talking to NPCs rather than just brute force. Another small piece mentions memory options and confirms the game uses the controller pack for saving progress. Under Looking Good, the graphics are discussed, pointing out the impressive backgrounds and scenery, particularly benefiting from the expansion pack for high-resolution visuals, across diverse level themes like a techno world. Character models are mentioned as looking a bit dated compared to the environments. Finally, disgruntled employees touches on the NPCs in the game, particularly the workers in earlier levels who seem to become more content the further you get into Mishima's organization, which is quite amusing. Despite this review outlining the game's features and showing it was clearly well into development, Daikatana famously never saw the light of day on the Nintendo 64. This page delves deeper into the mechanics of Daikatana, explaining the RPG-like elements where your character gains stats like vitality, attack, and speed as you progress, similar to games like Hybrid Heaven. It talks about how these stats influence combat and capabilities. There's a little box showing a puzzle moment, highlighting that the game isn't just run and gun. Sometimes you need to figure things out, like how to use a large boulder to get to a high ledge. Kaigei. The review then showcases the impressive array of weapons in Hardware Heaven, mentioning everything from laser weapons to crossbows and showing pictures of many, like the Sidewinder, Ion Blaster, and the Rip Gun. Multiplayer is discussed in Multiplayer Mayhem, detailing a standard deathmatch where kills increase your stats, and a unique gem hunt mode, where players compete to collect 5 different colored jewels. It mentions that this gem mode creates an interesting dynamic, where the first person to grab a gem holds onto it until they die, leading to tactical decisions. Finally, the cast introduces the main characters: Hiro, the protagonist, Mikiko, who wields a sword, and Mishima, the antagonist, noting that Hiro's companions join him early on and have their own reasons for helping. Despite all these features being detailed, Daikatana, as we know, unfortunately never actually made it to the N64 console. A real shame given the depth of gameplay promised here. This page continues the deep dive into Daikatana, picking up with the multiplayer gem hunt mode, and how it leads to tactical gameplay, even drawing comparisons to the old 8-bit classic Spy vs. Spy. It highlights the variety the game offers, from levels to weapons, and notes how the cutscenes add to the story, giving the game a sense of purpose beyond just shooting everything in sight. The review gives a second opinion, noting that despite graphics that perhaps weren't the best, the action and storyline, especially the gameplay, made it stand out. It also shows the planned controls for the N64 version. Alternatives like Quake 2 and Turok 2 are listed with their scores. The game received strong ratings across the board, culminating in an impressive 90% overall, and was summarized as a fantastic first-person shooter with a difference. It's quite something to look back at this, knowing that despite all this detail and anticipation, Daikatana never actually launched on the N64 console, which is a real shame. This page dives into the full review for Ridge Racer 64, making its debut on the Nintendo 64 system. It discusses how the classic arcade racer translates, bringing over familiar tracks from the PlayStation entries Ridge Racer and Ridge Racer Revolution, but also adding brand new circuits specifically for the N64. The review praises the sheer speed and action, noting the updated graphics, particularly the impressive lighting effects on the night and dusk tracks, and the cool blur effect on the car's taillights. It mentions the variety of cars and tracks you unlock as you play through. There are several screenshots showcasing the game's visuals, and a large image of the series' iconic character, Reiko Nagase, along with notes on the game's features and performance. It positions the game as a strong racing title for the console. This page continues the look at Ridge Racer 64, getting into the nitty-gritty of how it plays. The review highlights that Namco and Nintendo worked together to improve the classic arcade racing feel for the N64, bringing over control styles from the first 2 PlayStation games and adding a new one, giving you 3 different ways to slide around the corners. They mention that getting used to the controls is key, but once you do, you can really push the cars. The review points out that the AI can be a bit of a pain, especially on narrower sections where overtaking is tough, and hitting anything really kills your speed, which you need to be careful of because there are invisible walls just off the track edges. They also praise the little details, like the tire marks left on the road. The 4-player mode is mentioned as being incredibly fast and fun, really putting the console through its paces. The review also points out the excellent replays that capture the action well. This page continues the Ridge Racer 64 review, diving into more aspects of the game. It talks about the sound effects, noting that hitting things has a distinct sound, but praising the catchy music and commentary for adding to the arcade feel and giving useful info about rivals. There's a section discussing the frame rate, nicknamed Porridge, pointing out it can drop in the third-person view but is smooth in the bonnet camera, and reassuring that it doesn't ruin the gameplay. Customization is featured with Go Faster stripes, highlighting the ability to change car colors. The CHAAARRGE section explains the car attack mode where you can win new cars. The page also includes a diagram showing the N64 controller layout for the game. Alternatives like Roadsters and Femi Zero X are listed. The ratings are broken down for graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge, before culminating in a strong overall score of 94%. A second opinion by Roy Kimber confirms it as the best Ridge Racer on console at that time, calling the single-player fantastic. The final word, the soundbite, declares it the definitive Ridge Racer game. This page dives into the world of high-powered speedboat racing with a review of Hydro Thunder. It's a fast arcade-style racer that's been ported from the coin-op, bringing that intense speed and boost mechanic to the N64. The tracks aren't open water, but highly detailed environments like flooded cities, which the screenshots showcase well, showing off locations like a submerged New York and a night race. The gameplay is all about hitting the boost and finding the fastest routes, grabbing power-ups along the way, and the boats even transform when you get a big boost, which is pretty cool. While the levels are bright and the racing is fun and quick, the review does mention the water effects can look a bit ropey at times, and the multiplayer doesn't fare too well. It saves your progress and times on the controller pack. Overall, it captures that arcade feel nicely. This page is all about Hydro Thunder, Midway's arcade speedboat racer ported to the N64. It captures that classic arcade feel perfectly, focusing on high speed, massive boosts, and finding the best lines and power-ups on wild tracks. The levels are really varied and detailed, from a flooded New York to a spooky castle course, packed with environmental hazards and interactive elements. The boats all handle a bit differently, and hitting a big boost sees them transform, which is a nice touch. The game saves your progress and times to the controller pack, which is essential for chasing those leaderboard spots. Single player is a lot of fun and genuinely fast, but the multiplayer, especially with 4 players, unfortunately doesn't hold up as well, losing a lot of that speed. Still, the core racing and the variety in the levels and boats, like the fishing boat or the bonus levels with giant monsters, make it a highly enjoyable arcade experience on the console. This page covers the review of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for the N64. It's presented as a full-on review, promising big airs and sick grinds. The game puts you in the shoes of a professional skateboarder, focusing on pulling off tricks in various environments. It highlights the diverse levels, from street courses to skate parks, including the famous mall level with its long ledges, and the hidden areas of the Roswell stage with its alien secrets. Each level has specific tasks to complete to progress in the career mode. The review mentions challenge events and tournaments, offering more variety than just hitting scores on levels. A key feature discussed is linking tricks together to build massive combos for high scores, captured in the Go Big section. The finger flip part likely details specific trick types and how they add to the variety. The controls are noted as easy to use, allowing players to focus on executing complicated lines and tricks. The game is described as highly enjoyable and guaranteed to get your pulse racing. It also points out that landing tricks and completing objectives is rewarding, and mistakes are down to player error, not the game. Screenshots show various gameplay moments, including score displays and trick names. The music is mentioned as featuring real-life tracks, though edited. The game saves career progress using the controller pack. It notes the game's prior success on other platforms and its arrival on N64. This page concludes a review of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on the N64, emphasizing its impact. It details the game's playable skaters, including Tony Hawk and Officer Dick, each with unique styles and signature moves, boosting replayability. Multiplayer modes like Graffiti and Horse are highlighted, adding competitive fun. The review reinforces the game's essential status on the N64, mirroring its success on other platforms. It praises the graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge, leading to a high score. Screenshots showcase tricks and levels, while a sidebar explains unlockable content and controls. The page confirms Tony Hawk's Pro Skater's status as a landmark title that shaped the skateboarding genre, delivering an incredible experience. This page features a review of Winback, Covert Operations, a third-person shooter on the N64. It details the game's intense action where you play as SCAT agent Jean-Luc Cougar, tasked with stopping terrorists who have seized a satellite. The game introduces a strict time limit, adding a lot of pressure to each mission. The gameplay is highlighted by its cover system, drawing comparisons to arcade light gun games like Time Crisis, combined with the stealth and espionage feel of Metal Gear Solid. Players must duck behind cover, pop out to shoot enemies, and carefully navigate environments. The review notes that while this system works well, the camera can sometimes be tricky, especially in open areas where the game becomes more challenging. Screenshots throughout the page showcase the cover mechanics, firefights, and boss encounters, including a shot of the character Lila. Another screenshot shows Jean Look with a rocket launcher. A second opinion from Roy Kimber praises the stealth and combat elements, even suggesting they rival Metal Gear Solid, though acknowledging it's not quite on the level of Perfect Dark, which was highly anticipated at the time. The review provides various ratings for graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge, culminating in a solid overall score of 86%. The soundbite describes it as an addictive, if slightly flawed espionage, shoot-'em-up. Essential game information, such as developer, Koei, and publisher, Virgin Interactive, is also listed, along with confirmation that the PAL version runs smoothly. This page of Cheat Central from 64 Magazine issue 38, year 2000, is packed with tips and tricks for several N64 titles. It starts with an Explorer giveaway, a handy cheat device. There are cheats for Mario Party 2, detailing how to access Bowserland, unlock minigames, get free coins, and even taunt other players. For Shadow Man, there's a cheat showing you how to play as Deadwing after completing a specific task in the Playhouse. ECW, Hardcore Revolution gets coverage too, listing silly cheats like Big Feet and Heads, along with how to unlock hidden wrestlers such as Bill Alfonso and Taz by winning championship belts. Tony Hawk Skateboarding has a rundown of special moves for various skaters like Andrew Reynolds and Tony Hawk himself, showing you the button combinations needed. Finally, there are numerous sound and gameplay cheats for Twisted Edge, snowboarding. The page also includes an advert for the cheats unlimited phone and web service. This page features a load of cheats for WWF WrestleMania 2000, showing you how to get weapons, score easy wins, unmask Kane, get help from your manager, unlock hidden characters by completing specific tasks like winning titles or finishing modes, and even steal your opponent's taunts and finishing moves. There's also a big section listing Explorer 64 cheat codes for a whole bunch of N64 games like Zelda, Super Mario 64, GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, and many others, covering things like infinite health, ammo, lives, and unlocking items. This page is the Score Zone, showcasing top scores and times submitted by players for N64 classics like GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, Legend of Zelda, Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, Quake 64, and more, with a few screenshots thrown in. They're also asking for scores on newer games. Right then, this page carries on with the Score Zone, showing off some cracking times and scores sent in by players. You've got the best efforts for a whole load more N64 classics here. Warrington Nugs. It covers racing games like the Sharp Zero X, the kart racer Diddy Kong Racing, and the legendary Mario Kart 64. There are plenty of records for those looking for speed. They've also got times for the brilliant space combat of Star Wars, Rogue Squadron, and the sprawling action of Shadows of the Empire. Looks like players were really getting stuck into those Star Wars adventures. Rogue Squoise. On the sporting side, there are scores for snowboard kids, showing off those slopes and tricks. Rogue Squoise. For fighting and puzzle fans, you'll find records for Fighter's Destiny and the geometric challenge of Tetrasphere. There are also scores for more racing with the Gritty Scars and the fast-paced pod racing in Star Wars, Episode 1 Racer. And rounding out the list, you've got times for the jungle exploration of Chameleon Twist, the first-person action of Turok, and the vehicular combat of Vigilante 8. The main challenge for this month is in Resident Evil 2, specifically getting the fastest completion time for Scenario A as Claire Redfield. Proper spooky stuff that is. Hey Wark. And the prize for the overall Score Zone champion. A rather spiffing top drive 3 inches 1 steering wheel, compatible with the N64, PlayStation, and even the old Saturn. A versatile piece of kit for anyone serious about their racing games. This page provides a handy playing guide for Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue on the N64. It jumps straight into the basics, showing you the controls you'll need as Buzz tries to rescue Woody. It then runs through the various items you'll find scattered about, like the useful green laser for blasting enemies, or the coins needed to earn those all-important Pizza Planet tokens. Collecting the battery is crucial too, to keep Buzz powered up. The main goal, naturally, is collecting those Pizza Planet tokens to progress through the levels. Beyond the standard items, it covers some cracking special items that give Buzz extra abilities, such as the energy shield for protection, the disc launcher for ranged attacks, or the rocket boots for a burst of speed. There's also the grappling hook for getting to tricky spots, and levitation boots for hovering. Finally, it details Buzz's special moves, explaining how to use the glide ability for longer jumps, charging up the laser, the versatile spin attack, the lock-on feature for targeting, and the power jump for reaching higher areas or hitting switches. It's a decent platformer, this one, follows the film nicely. This guide provides walkthroughs for the first 2 levels of Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue. Level 1, Andy's House, covers navigating the room, finding tokens, and completing challenges like Robot Rampage and Losing Sheep. It details specific strategies for defeating the robot and finding sheep across the house, including the basement and garage. The level culminates in finding the last sheep and a token. Level 2, Andy's Neighborhood, focuses on finding missing soldiers for the sergeant, collecting coins for Ham, and defeating a buggy. The guide offers gameplay tips, including revisiting earlier levels for extra lives and utilizing the target mode. It appears to be a comprehensive aid for players tackling these initial stages. The next page continues the guide for Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue, picking up right where the last one left off. This time, it's all about tackling Level 3, Bombs Away, which is a boss fight level. You're up against a biplane, and the guide tells you exactly how to take it down, using Buzz's laser and target lock. It's a straightforward fight apparently, just keep blasting until it goes down. The screenshots show Buzz facing off against the plane in the garden area, then it moves on to Level 4, Construction Yard. This level looks like a proper platforming challenge. The guide breaks it down. First task is finding missing little tykes scattered around the area. There's also a part of Mr. Potato Head to find, a puzzle involving mixing paint colors, remember primary colors from school, a timed challenge from Slinky to find spanners, and another boss fight against something called the Driller Killer. The walkthrough gives pointers for navigating the construction site, climbing up to different areas, and how to take down the final boss. There are some handy tips included, like how to use Buzz's double jump effectively, and how the opposing cars behave in race challenges from earlier levels, even though Level 4 isn't a race. Mr. Potato Head himself is prominent on the page, looking a bit cross. Looks like a solid guide to get you through these levels. This page carries on with the comprehensive guide for Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue, tackling the next few levels. First up is Level 5, Alleys and Gullies, which looks like it involves a good bit of platforming and collecting. You'll be searching for things like Slinky's missing bones and rounding up stray ducklings for the Duck Patrol task. There's also a section dealing with the clown, which seems to tie in with abilities you get later in the game, and another part involving Ham. Level 6 is Slime Time, which is dedicated to a boss fight against the slime. The guide explains the simple tactic needed here, using your laser to shrink it down until it's defeated. Next is Level 7, Al's Toy Barn. This is a bigger level with several objectives. You're helping Mr. Potato Head find another missing part, rounding up chickens, finding Ham, and tackling a puzzle in the office. The big highlight here is the Walk the Dinosaur task, which is another boss fight against a rather large plastic-looking dinosaur. Donador. Finally, Level 8 is Al's Spaceland. This level throws a lot at you, starting with a fight against the Buzzmobile. You'll also be on the hunt for aliens scattered throughout the level, tackle a space race challenge, and find Ham again in the Pigs in Space section. Seems like a varied set of levels coming up after the initial ones. The tip box reminds you about Buzz's useful double jump ability too. Toy Story 2's guide continues with levels 9 to 12. Level 9 features the Toy Barn Encounter, a boss battle where you destroy a craft by detaching capsules and dodging lasers. Level 10, Elevator Hop, has several tasks, including platforming challenges to find Mr. Potato Head's parts, a ventilation shaft sequence, and a spider boss fight. Level 11, Al's Penthouse, includes the horse course, runaway train, bunny wunnies, and the Bandit Bailey boss fight. Level 12 is the final encounter with evil Emperor Zurg, immune to lasers. The only way to defeat him is using Buzz's supercharged spin attack when Zurg is near the ground, requiring approximately 10 hits. This page continues the Toy Story 2 playing guide, detailing the final levels. Level 13, Airport Infiltration, covers various tasks from finding Waits and Mr. Potato Head's parts to boss, fights against the Prospector, and the Blacksmith, as well as navigating planes and finding passengers. Level 14, Tarmac Trouble, features more challenges like another blacksmith encounter, helping Ham, finding lost luggage, a timed Slinky challenge, and a helicopter puzzle. Finally, Level 15 is the final showdown, a difficult battle against the Prospector, the Bandit, and the Blacksmith all at once. You'll need to remember tactics from previous fights to win. This page is dedicated to things outside the world of N64, showcasing other cool stuff for gamers. We've got a look at Simpsons Comics A Go-Go, a collection of the brilliant comics that capture the humor of the show perfectly, packed with gags on every page. There's also the Stone, a mysterious pendant that grants access to an online puzzle and chat site, where you can link up with others who have a twin stone. For something completely bonkers, there's the Alien Head Birth Pod, a weird but sought-after toy where you get to birth an alien head. We check out some reading material too, with Battle Chasers, a gathering of heroes, a graphic novel blending magic and tech, with a great story and artwork. Spawn, Devastation is another graphic novel, continuing the dark tale of the Black Ops agent turned Hellspawn, full of action and gruesome details. On the video front, there's Rushmore, a black comedy about a talented but troublesome school kid, and Shiloh 2, a heartwarming film about a boy and his dog. Finally, there's the virtual reality boxing gadget, a novelty VR headset and gloves that lets you punch for real in a simple boxing game, maybe best for watching mates flail about. This page is a cracking advert showcasing special offers on a load of essential N64 game guides and books, including a deal to get 3 books for a tenner. It covers top games like Turok 2, Banjo-Kazooie, Zelda 64, and Donkey Kong 64. This page is an advert for subscribing to 64 magazine and ordering back issues. It highlights a mega deal offering a subscription with a free N64 game or strategy book from titles like F-Zero X, Mario Kart, GoldenEye, Snowboard Kids, 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, and Banjo-Kazooie, alongside strategy guides for Zelda 64 and Banjo-Kazooie. There's also a striking image featuring Claire from Resident Evil 2. This page is the Nindex, the magazine's complete guide to every N64 game they've ever reviewed. It's a massive list detailing games with their company, player count, accessory support for things like the expansion pack and rumble pack, whether it was released in the UK, the issue it was reviewed in, the score it got, and a brief comment about the game. There's also a handy key explaining all the symbols and a list breaking down the different game genres. On the right side you've got their current Our Top 10 list. At number 1 is GoldenEye, followed by Zelda, Is-98, Turok, Rage Wars, Resident Evil 2, Worms, Armageddon, Donkey Kong 64, Quake 2, Vigilante 8 Second Offense, and Rainbow Six. Each of those has a little screenshot showing off the action. The page is dominated by a huge illustration of Donkey Kong himself, fitting for a magazine covering Nintendo. It's the place to check the lowdown on scores and see what games are considered the best. This page continues the magazine's comprehensive Nindex guide, detailing scores and comments for a huge list of N64 games. Alongside that, it rounds up some of the top games in specific genres. You've got the current top 5 shoot-'em-ups, with the classic GoldenEye still holding strong at number 1, complete with a screenshot showing off its spy action. Then there's the top adventure games list, topped by The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, again with a shot of Link in action. Finally, the top platform games are listed, showing Rayman 2 leading the pack, featuring a screenshot of his colourful world. Further down, the Test of Time section revisits 3 older titles, 40 Winks, Hybrid Heaven, and Rat Attack. It's interesting to see how these games held up a little while after release, with scores being re-evaluated based on hindsight. They give us a look back at games like the rather unique RPG-esque Hybrid Heaven, or the quirky arcade action of Rat Attack. There's also a section highlighting the best of the bits, recommending essential N64 accessories like extra controllers, racing wheels, and memory cards. This document provides a snapshot of top-rated and anticipated games for the Nintendo 64. It highlights the best games across several genres, including racing, F-Zero X F1 World Grand Prix, sports, IS-98, ISS-64, party/puzzle, Buster Move 2, and strategy/simulation, Command and Conquer. A Most Wanted section showcases highly anticipated titles, such as Perfect Dark, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, ISS Millennium, Banjo-Tooie, and Turok 3. The document also includes a list of the worst-performing games, like Carmageddon and Superman, offering a balanced perspective on the N64 library. Each section is accompanied by screenshots, capturing key moments from each game. This page features a big preview for Disney's Tarzan platformer, showing the main character and highlighting that it had been in development for 2 years, with a full reveal promised for April 20th. The Plus section teases upcoming games like Perfect Dark, International Track and Field, Harvest Moon, Polaris SNO Cross, NBA in the Zone 2000, Big Mountain 2000, Fighters Destiny 2, Super Bowling, and Taz Express. You can also see listings for various N64 games, hardware, and peripherals available for purchase.